I remember the first time when I met him, it was very businesslike. He was in his suit, obviously with the close cropped hair. he also struck a particular profile. I think it actually goes back to when we were in Malaysia, right? One of the things that made it work for us was the fact that because we already had a close personal relationship with Tarl, that he was willing and able to provide us with a lot of insights into the housing market and to potential houses early on. And so that kind of takes you a long way because you trust the person already. And so when you don't have the opportunity to view these houses on your own, and you're only viewing them through webcams or Skype or FaceTime, you have to actually trust the person on the other end of the phone.
Poor Tarl, we started this process. He can probably tell you exactly when we started it, but it was a while ago. And he kept trying to calm me down and say, look, Karen, the properties you're looking at now, do you really want to buy and then pay a mortgage for the next 2 years? And there were times when I was like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. But he talked sense into me, and of course I would still, every time I'd come into town, I'd be like, okay, I have this list I want to go see. And he was very good about letting me kind of run him all over and show me a lot of properties. And I don't even want to know how many we saw, but I finally common sense ruled, and we decided to wait, and it was a great thing that we did because actually the market softened a bit, and so we probably would have paid a bit more for the same house if we had done what I was wanting to do. Mm-hmm. So he actually was looking out for our pocketbook as well as wanting to make sure I was happy.
Tarl seemed to have a series of facts, figures, rules of thumb right at hand, so that when we'd go through a place, and I know we looked around at the Heights for a while, it was a very simple thing for him to talk about what sort of upgrades were worthwhile, what sort of changes you might make, or maybe give us an idea of what changes had been made so we knew what was worth paying for. Like a real command of the minutia, if you will, of the buying process and the investment process. So that, yes. I was impressed by that right initially and throughout the process. Yeah, I think the portal was very nice. The fact that we could GIS an area and narrow our search. As we began to identify areas where we thought we might find the perfect house. Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
you're right. DocuSign.
He has that. Even I can do it. It's great because that is a great tool because with us being far away. Yeah, you just sign it and boop and push send and it's done. Well, no, I don't even think you have to push send, and he gets it, and then he gives you the thumbs up that he's gotten it, and so that's wonderful because that helps a lot with reducing getting back and forth together.
Yeah, and it also, I think, for those of us who are heavily reliant on the documentation, so you understand what you signed. And what you've committed to, the DocuSign has a nice database that allows you to gain access to all those documents. And it gives you, kind of a feeling of safety in knowing that you've got all of that right at hand. Utilizing the database allowed us to refine our criteria, right? So we eliminated a large number of properties that really had no potential to be a match, and so it limited the number of things that we had to go physically see. So that was a great help as well.
Yeah, and the staff was great. We used Michelle a lot, and we even used his other staff that to help us when, at times when we wanted to see the 88th property, he wasn't available. He'd send someone else to show it to us. And
Now that everything gets done, with on cell phones, on mobile phones, texting, emails. So again, the staff, Michelle in particular, was amazingly on top of everything, so that we were in really constant communication on some of the nitty-gritty details that that she handles. So that again makes your comfort level very high, because you know that you know exactly what's going on. You're in contact with the people you need to be in order to make the sale go through.
he offered us contacts to once we purchased the house. We wanted to change out some of the backsplash and flooring and repaint, and he provided us with contacts for that, and they've been wonderful, very professional, very respectful. Just, we can't say enough about them too. So it's kind of like the full service show with Tarl, which I don't recall getting that from other realtors.
The wealth of experience, it's the understanding seller's behavior as well, because you can, by having somebody who has been on both sides of that sell proposition, it gives you an opportunity to understand exactly what a seller is doing to try to sell a house, and then as a buyer, it gives you insights into that, so that you have a bit better idea about what to bid on a property, and what warts they might be hiding. I mean, that's part of the process. This is a caveat emptor sort of situation. You have to beware as a buyer, because you're trying to make the best investment, and it's an investment that's clouded by a lot of emotion, because you also want a home.
That's a good point, that it's clouded by emotion. So you need somebody that's objective to to give you the objective side, so that you're not just, I love it, I don't care if the roof is falling, and let's get it anyway.
That's right. So I think I think that's the real advantage of an agent, and then and you build into that trustworthiness, and that just makes it all work well. And you'll end up in a situation where you hopefully don't have any sort of buyer's regret.
Yes, and yes. Yes, we would work with him again, and yes, I would refer other people. And I think it's for what we were saying, is the attention to detail and the whole picture that he brings into it. And he has high integrity, and I really believe that he wants to see his clients happy. I mean, anybody that he works with, I feel that he cares about their needs, and works hard to make sure that he does his part to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny when you think about real estate agents, as we did in the past. Local expertise was always one of those items that you tended to focus on. But as Karen said, I think that was one of the things that was probably really surprising about Tarl, and not just in our situation, but in hearing him talk about other house sales or purchases he was involved in, was the amount that he did care about the buyer and the seller, that he wanted to do his very best by them, and that I think it keeps him up at night, worrying about whether or not he's going to get the best deal for his clients. So so I think it's sort of unequivocal recommendation for Tarl, for ourselves or for anybody else.